Parakeet. George?
Hello, parrot lovers and fellow sniffers. My name is Marlene McCohen, and this is Cody, my very naughty African gray today. Nevertheless, we would like to welcome you to Parent Tip Tuesday. Now, for today's Parent Tip Tuesday, I am going to read you a comment from one of my subscribers, which was under the video of my last Storytime Sunday. For those of you who didn't watch my Storytime Sunday, that video is called My African Gray George Plotted Against Me Because of My Mother. Yes, yes, look at my mother helping my bird plot against me. If you didn't watch that video, go ahead and watch it. I think you'll really enjoy Storytime Sunday if you've never seen one. However, I'm going to read to you now the comment from Jade J. Hello, Marlene. I was wondering, I don't know whether you would be interested, but do you think you could make a video explaining how you got George to learn to say time for blank? It'd be really intriguing and would help tremendously for African gray owners or any bird that talks at the level your George did. First of all, I want to thank JJ for this comment, not only because I think it's a really cute idea, but because it's kind of personal to me how I taught George the Time For series, and it was my own creation, so it's going to be really fun for me to talk about, and I'm really going to enjoy making this video. So, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, let me fill you in. My African Gray George was an excellent speaker, and quite often in my videos that I make for you guys, I explain how George was able... Hello, Vinny. Thanks for visiting. Do you want to come? What? Yeah, he's invited too. Do you want a new toy? Here's a new toy. Okay. So you may have heard me talk about George in other videos, explaining how he was able to apply words to sentences, specifically the sentence time for. So for example, I would give George a carrot and say, time for carrot. And then I would give him an apple and say, time for apple. But on a different day, if I gave him an almond and I just said almond, the next time he would see one, he would say time for almond, even though I had never put those together for him before. Here's another example. I would say time for shower. And when we would get in the shower, he would sit on the top. I'd say shower, so that when he gets to the spot, he would know that this is what the time for item was. One day, when I turned off the water, George said, time for water, goodbye. So he was really able to apply words into sentences. Now, today, I'm going to show you exactly what I did to teach George this idea. Here was my thought process. I was really excited about the idea that parrots could apply words to sentences. I had read a lot about Alex the African Gray and other parrots that I was very interested in at the time, and I did so much research on birds and them speaking. Just the idea in itself that a bird could apply words to sentences, I really wanted this to be something that my bird does. But I didn't know if I was going to be Dr. Irene Pepperberg, because she's a real scientist and she has dedicated her life to these parrots and training them and teaching them. And I read her books and I admired her work so much that I wanted to kind of come up with something a little bit simpler. Now, I should say that I used her technique a lot with George, and let me tell you, it really works. And reading her book just gives you so much insight on how to educate your birds, how to tame your birds, and how to train your birds, and also the psyche of your birds. That's where you can learn a lot more about the pecking order in parrots and such things too. So if you haven't read her book, I would strongly advise you reading it. It will give you a lot of insight into your African Gray, and that really helped me with a starting point. However, I'm not a scientist and I'm not conducting studies on my birds, so I didn't really have all day to spend training George. But I really did want to see if he could apply words to sentences. Now, my time for technique wasn't just about teaching George. It was also about teaching myself to recognize when he had been able to apply a word to a sentence. So by keeping everything very simple and saying time for whatever the item was, I would remember if I had ever said time for and a new item. And if I hadn't, then when he put it together, it would be really easy for me to recognize that this was new. Now remember, at the time, I hadn't had an African gray before, so I really was worried that he would either start talking so much that I wouldn't really know where he picked it up from, which sometimes does happen with parrots, or I wouldn't know if I had previously said that sentence. So I wanted to be really sure that I could tell that he was applying words into this sentence. So here's what I did. Cody, do you want to come down for this explanation? Now, you can use this in conjunction with the model rival technique. It only just makes it better. But here's the first thing. Whenever I was going to do an activity, I would say time for and then that activity. So 3 simple words. Time for shower, time for TV, time for Oprah. Yeah, I would watch Oprah at like 3 p.m. every day, and I would tell George, time for Oprah. Anything that I enjoyed doing or had to do, I would tell George that I'm about to do it before I even got to the activity. So, for example, let's say I went to his cage and I would pull him out and I'd go, time for Oprah. And then I would sit down on the couch, and then when Oprah turned on, I'd say, time for Oprah. And then I'd say, Oprah. Now I know that's a little bit different because it's actually him watching television, but you have to remember he did get really advanced. He understood those things, believe it or not. But in the beginning, I would say, time for apple, kind of in the form of a question, so that he's waiting to see what an apple is. Then I would cut an apple and say, time for apple. But then, let me show you with Cody, when I gave him the apple, I would say, apple, even though that's not an apple. But I would say maybe toy. So again, before I gave him the toy, I would say, time for toy. And then when he saw the toy, so when the toy was in sight, I would say, time for toy. And then I would give him the toy and say, toy. Now, if you watch any videos on Alex the African Gray, then you will see that when he holds an item, you will see that he gets to learn, feel, touch, and understand the texture of an item. And that really helps him identify the word with the item. So now, Cody would know toy. But more specifically, I would say pen top or top. So I would say time for toy, top, and there it is. But I would only start introducing it as a subcategory after I know that he already knows how to speak. So for example, everything would be toy for a while if he enjoys it. That would only apply to my time fors. If we're not doing the time for, and if I've already done the time for or said it and he has his item, I'd say, do you like that? Do you like that top? And then I just continue talking to him like I normally would if he's a 4-year-old child. Now, the great thing about the time for technique was that I could introduce anything I wanted, whether it be an activity, a food, or a toy, or something I was going to do. I could just say time for. And time for meant that this is what was going to happen, or this is what you're going to get, or this is for anything really. And because of that, it was so simple that he could apply new words to time for. And my theory was that if he applied a new word, it would mean that he really wanted it, that he heard that word and it stuck, and I was giving him a way of communicating to me what he wanted. Now, of course, if he wanted a carrot and he had seen a carrot, he could just say carrot. but I really wanted to see how he would apply a word into a sentence. I just wanted to see if it was possible. And my logic was that if I kept it that simple and said time for fill in the blank, then he would eventually fill in the blanks and apply the words to time for. And he did. And it was really, really impressive. It was like my own experiment and my own way of including him and communicating with him. Now, one of the best ways to make sure your parrot learns how to speak is just to speak to him. You don't have to make it complicated. You just have to say everything that you're doing and everything that you're interested in. Talk to him. You're sitting down on the computer. He's sitting next to you. Hey, how was your day? Did you have fun today? Like, you could be as adult as you want, as complicated as you want, or as simple as you want. Now, I will tell you how to effectively teach your parrot something fast. The first thing you need to know is that parrots will repeat things that are entertaining to them. So, for example, if I say to my bird, hello, 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 he's not going to repeat it. I mean, he may. But if I come in the house and I go, hello, that's going to be the thing that gets him excited. That's why a lot of birds tend to curse and say bad things, because there's a lot of emotion behind them. There was a bird that said something very funny and very naughty. I think I've told you this before. And I saw him go viral, and I really wanted George to learn that. So I taught it to George with the same intonations that that bird said it, because I knew that if the bird enjoyed it, then my bird would enjoy it. So it's really all about excitement. So if you do get angry or stressed or really excited, those are the things that parrots are going to imitate and copy. Now, there is a news story going about that you might have heard of, being a parrot lover, and it's about a woman that shot her husband, and the ex-wife claims that she knows that the woman shot her husband because the husband's bird started saying, "Don't shoot, don't shoot." Now, they almost tried to use this as court evidence, and in the end, they weren't allowed to, but as an experienced parrot owner, I will tell you, and this is what I would have told anybody if they would have asked me what I thought about the bird saying don't shoot. Here's the two things that are very important to remember. One, birds don't say anything unless they've heard it. It's like having a tape recorder. The bird wouldn't have picked up "don't shoot" in the husband's voice if he hadn't heard it. If the bird did not hear it, he would never have said it. Second of all, it was accompanied by a real sense of emotion and intense situation. That's where the bird got it from. So yes, it would be an extremely valuable piece of evidence. Where I do understand that it can't be used in court, it should definitely be thought about, because if you know birds, you know that the bird couldn't have made this up. It's something that it heard, it took to heart, and it was shocking and emotional, and the bird wanted to repeat it. And who knows, maybe the bird wanted to repeat it because he wanted to let everyone know exactly what happened to his beloved companion. That's how parrots are. That just backs what I was talking about with the emotion and how birds love things that are followed by emotion and excitement. That also applies to when your bird might pick up words. If you've been gone and you just walk in, that might be a really exciting time for your parrot. That's why a lot of parrots say hello, because they're excited that you just walked in. They miss you, they wait for you. You come in, you're like, hello, or hello, and the bird wants to greet you as well because he is excited that you came in. He's been waiting for you. Same with why he mimics you speaking on the phone. Quite often you have a particular emotion about whoever is on the telephone. So just remember that when you're trying to teach your bird how to talk. And also, with regards to the time for, don't forget, you can say it with anything that you do. So just think of some things that you do quite often, and everything that you're doing, apply time for to. So time for bed, time for breakfast, time for lunch, time for TV, time for almonds, time for play, time for kisses, time for mommy, time for bird. Time for bed. I always say time for bed. All of my birds know about bedtime and time for bed. And this is really great way to communicate with your bird, to relieve some of your bird's anxiety too, because your bird will know what's going to happen and what's happening. Just remember to say it before they see that it's going to happen, and then when it's happening, and then if it is a physical object, when you're handing them the object, just use the word of the object specifically. So for example, toy, right? He's been busy with that for a while. Now next time he sees this, he may be able to say toy or time for toy. Not Cody, because he's not there yet, but hopefully he will get there. I think personally it's most important to spend a lot of time with your bird and talk to him like he's a little child, whether or not he answers back. Or an adult like he's an adult. Just mean like he's a person is really what I mean. I should also tell you that when I was talking to George and saying time for this and time for that, I wasn't necessarily giving him treats because it wasn't about him learning to talk. More so, it was about him learning to know what was about to happen, because I wanted to talk to him all day long and see if he picked up anything from it. The model rival technique is something that I use with treats and positive reinforcement, and how I taught George to say things that were very specific that I wanted him to say, rather than just me going through the day telling him everything that was going to happen like I did with the time for technique. So if you guys want me to make a video for you demonstrating the model rival technique, I will make a video for you on that. Please just leave me some messages in the comments letting me know that you're interested in that, and I will gladly make that video for you because it really helped me with teaching George how to talk. It was really instrumental as well in getting him to say things that I wanted him to say and things that were entertaining. Now, of course, give your bird treats when he does something good. Give him some positive reinforcement, a lot of love, whatever it is that your parrot enjoys. He always deserves it. Now, that is my Parent Tip Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, like, and share this video with your friends or anyone that has a parrot. And remember, we want our parrots to be engaged and not caged. And if I can save one parrot and improve his life, that's what I make these videos for. So let me know in the comments how you like this video. I love hearing from you guys. Maybe your question will be the next video that I make, so you never know. Thank you, JJ, for this idea. Please subscribe to me. We love new subscribers, don't we, Vinny? Do you love new subscribers? This is what I deal with all day long. So please subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, it's at Marlene McCohen. And we also have at Engaged Not Caged on Instagram, where I share all your birdies. Now, if you guys want me to see your birds like you see Cody, please come on to Parrot Station on Facebook and introduce yourself, say hi, and let us see your beloved bird because we just love, love, love it. So that is all for today. Remember, keep Parrot Station friendly, fun, and fantastic. Not too judgmental of other parrot owners because we all have different households. So remember that. That is it, guys. Thank you so much. Bye. And one more thing for those of you still watching. It's my birthday week, so I'm not going to make any videos for a week. I'm going to actually take a break because I know I would kill myself trying to do it and get it done, but I will be putting video of the day, fun videos of the birds for you guys. But it's not just my birthday, Tracy's babies do, and it's George's birthday too, so it's going to be a very, very busy, jam-packed week, and I want to give you guys the best possible information I can. So stay tuned for video of the day every day though, because that is so much fun and we love it. Thank you, Picasso, for coming to help me. I can't. It's like I see this bird and I forget that I'm even making you guys a video. I'm like, thank you, Picasso. And then that's it. I stare into Picasso's eyes and I'm off. So thank you guys so much. Bye.